First District Congressman Ed Whitfield's with us. We're talking about health insurance. You were talking about some of the things that were stripped out of the bill that your side wanted.
Yeah, and other provisions that we wanted in there were what we call pooling arrangements, so that, for example, every small television station in America could pool together, and when they negotiate with an insurance company, they have more leverage and can get a better plan, just like Walmart can get a good plan for their employees. And we were not able to get that through. In addition, it's been estimated by the Congressional Budget Office and others that our legal system is contributing to $54 billion in cost to our legal system, our healthcare system, because of all the lawsuits being filed. So we wanted to do some tort reform, some medical malpractice reform that would allow individuals to sue, but there would be some caps on the recoveries. And the reason we want to do that is right now, if you go to a doctor, they want to administer every test possible on you, because if they're sued, they don't want to have to say, well, I didn't do that test.
Right.
And those tests add up. So we want doctors to be able to practice medicine just using common sense without going to extraordinary measures to protect themselves from lawsuits.
There was a study not too long ago about that very same thing, that in some of the other industrialized countries that have good health care, the amount of testing is, you know, a third of what we do here.
Well, they do. That's absolutely correct. And we do have the most litigious society in the world. And there's no question about that. And that's okay, but there are some limits to it, and we think that it's vitally important that that be a part of any healthcare reform measure.
You stated you spoke in Madisonville the other day, and I was reading your comments that you said that the Democratic side didn't want to work with the Republican side. Are you talking about the amendments that were stripped out? Is that
well, yeah. I mean, we had those amendments, and some of the Democrats even supported these amendments, so we expected that these amendments would be in the bill when it went to the floor. But when it went to the Rules Committee, Speaker Pelosi said strip out every amendment. And when they first presented the first bill, they never discussed anything with us about it. And there are lots of ways, and we've talked about some of them, that we can start addressing some of these problems. And I think we need to do it in an incremental way, particularly when we're trying to stimulate the economy. Because if we have this comprehensive change that will affect every person in the country, every business in the country, I think it will be an obstacle to economic growth at a time when we have the highest unemployment rate we've had in a long time.
Well, now of course it goes to the Senate, and various senators have said nothing's going to happen there. I mean, what do you see as the long term? What's going to happen with all this?
Well, what I think is going to happen is, I think it's such a priority for the president that I believe they're going to pass something, and they're going to call it healthcare reform. And that way he can point and say, I did this.
Right.
Now what it will contain, I don't know. But we do know that the Senate is more than likely going to have a bill totally different than the House, so there will be a very complicated conference, and who knows what will come out of it.
Before we go, cap and trade, still a big issue?
Cap and trade is a huge issue because, once again, to stimulate our economy, to be competitive with the world marketplace, like countries with China, India, and so forth, cap and trade would simply add additional cost to the price of electricity. And you'd have to buy a permit to burn coal. They have a renewable mandate that you have to have 20% of all electricity produced from renewables like solar power and wind power. We know from scientific testimony, Kentucky cannot produce that kind of electricity from wind power or hydropower or solar power. And they have penalties if you don't do it. So Kentucky would be hit particularly hard. And we have a 250-year reserve of coal. The Chinese are not going to adopt a cap and trade system. They came and talked to us and they said, we want the lowest price electricity, the lowest transportation cost, and the lowest labor cost. And so if America moves forward in this dramatic way, it's going to dramatically increase our costs, make us less competitive, and be an obstacle to economic growth.
Finally, one quick question. One of the state legislators, I can't remember which one it was the other day, was talking about the fact that coal mines aren't being allowed to open that basically there's a freeze on mining permits or something, and they're trying to get the federal government to open that up. Are you aware of that? And
well, I am. Carol Browner, who's former EPA administrator under President Clinton, is now the environmental czar for President Obama. She was not confirmed by the Senate or anything else, but she has a lot of influence over environmental issues. And so they're making it extremely difficult to get permits to open new coal mines. And it's so sad because we have a 250-year reserve of coal, produces 52% of our electricity, and there are people in this administration that are adamantly opposed to coal, do not want to use coal at all. Even if you have clean coal technology, they're opposed to it.
Ed Whitfield is our guest today, 1st District Congressman. How many terms now? 6?
Well, I'm actually in my 8th term.
Wow, time flies when you're having. But you and I came here the same time you went in, so I mean it's amazing. Well, good luck. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks, Ed.
And it's always good to see you. And we'll be back right after this.
Thank you.